why would I be talking about oxygen? What's so important about it for health and just basically for life? Well, newsflash, you can't live without it. The whys, the hows, how you can get more of it, what kind of things deplete it, all that stuff in this video and in the videos to come during this month. So stay tuned. Good morning, gentle travelers. This is Nikki Lynn Pugh, aka the Gentle Healthy Traveler, and today I have Misty with us. Hey Misty, how's it going? We are outside, and it is a beautiful, breezy day. It may rain later on. And why are we doing our video outside right now? Well, because outside is the perfect place for me to talk to you about oxygen. Why would I be talking about oxygen? What's so important about it for health and just basically for life? Well, newsflash, you can't live without it. I mean, consider this. You can go weeks without eating. You can go a few days without water, but how long will you last if you don't breathe? Not too long. So out here in the front yard, amongst the grass, we're grounding to the earth and we're taking advantage of this nice breeze that's out here right now, and the fact that it's cool, and that there's lots of oxygen flowing through the air. Oxygen is free from nature, at least in 2025, which is awesome. The thing that is most needed for life is absolutely free. There's something called the oxygen cycle that is found in various forms in nature. Oxygen is second only to nitrogen in abundance on the planet. Plants and animals use oxygen to respire and return it into the air and water as carbon dioxide, which is CO2. CO2 is then taken up by plants and especially algae in the ocean. Then it's converted in plants to carbon dioxide in a process called photosynthesis. Later on in another video, I'll show you about how things like chlorophyll can be so helpful for increasing oxygen and cleaning out the blood. The waters of the world are the main oxygen generators of the biosphere. And their algae, according to Britannica, is estimated to replace about 90% of all oxygen used. Oxygen is involved to some degree in all other biogeochemical cycles on the planet. And of course, how it works in our body is that oxygen is extracted from the air and goes through our lungs through the process of breathing. How much oxygen you take into your lungs and how much oxygen gets into your vital organs is really, really important. And it depends on a number of things, including your overall health level, how you breathe on a day-to-day basis. You know, we're not conscious of breathing. It's just, not only is oxygen a free gift from God and from our planet, but the fact that we don't even have to think about breathing is also kind of a gift. But sometimes we do get to step into, am I breathing correctly? Is my posture correct? And am I able to intake the amount of oxygen that I need through our mouth, through our nose? Taking in a big deep breath. We're going to get to how we can uptick our oxygen levels in another video, but it's really important. That really affects how much oxygen, that O2 that we get, how much oxygen that we do take in gets into our cells, into our organs, depends on a number of factors. It's really, really important these days, since almost all of us have had some kind of respiratory issue in the last 3 or 4 years, right? Conditions like COPD and other heart and lung conditions can really affect how much oxygen we get in naturally. Once we intake the oxygen, why is it so important that that oxygen goes where it needs to go, that it stays fresh and pure and is able to get into not only our organs, but our cells as well? It has something to do with cellular respiration. That's what we're going to talk about next. Cellular respiration is super important because it determines whether you have healthy cells and especially whether you have healthy mitochondria in the cells, whether your body is able to absorb nutrients in the right way and create energy for life. Cellular respiration is a really pretty complicated thing, but it can be seen as having three basic stages. The first is called glycolysis. Now, for this first stage, oxygen is technically not needed, but oxygen is really needed for the second and third stage. During the second stage especially, this is when glucose is converted into a substance called pyruvate. Now, another substance, which you've for sure heard of, ATP, is an energy-producing substance that's created during the stage as well. Also during this stage, pyruvate is broken down into single molecules of carbon and hydrogen. When they combine with oxygen, stuff you breathe in from the air, they produce carbon dioxide and something called NADH. NADH is an electron transport molecule that becomes part of the electron transport chain. We're almost done with the nerdy part. As part of this chain, oxygen itself carries electrons to the cells, where they are again used for ATP production, for energy, and for fuel for you to live. Yay! Note here, that's why it's so important to keep your blood oxygen rich and pure. Here's the takeaway. Healthy cells thrive in an oxygen-rich environment. Mutated cells, like cancer cells, thrive in an oxygen-depleted environment. This cycle of using oxygen and glucose for energy is really a cycle where oxygen leads the way to allow healthy cells to do all the functions that they need to do. Some of these functions include powering both voluntary and involuntary muscles, moving materials into and out of cells for nourishing and detoxification, and so many other functions. But when the body is lacking oxygen, the process of cellular respiration just can't continue past the first stage, which is a real drag for your body in all ways, including your brain. Without oxygen, pyruvate cannot convert to carbon dioxide and NADH. Instead, fermentation, which is an anaerobic process, i.e. a process that creates a low alkaline environment in the body, begins to occur, producing lactic acid as well as the perfect environment for pathogens to grow and for mutated cells like cancer cells to flourish. In fact, remember a few minutes ago when I talked about mitochondria and how oxygen is so important for mitochondrial health and also metabolic health? Well, this is because mitochondria literally burn oxygen to provide energy for the body. In fact, in a 2019 article put out by the Max Planck Institute for Biology and Aging, they state that when cells lack oxygen, they have to change their energy supply quickly in order to keep going. They found that mitochondria actually reprogram themselves under situations of depleted oxygen and nutrients. According to them, cells adapt to oxygen deficiency by switching their energy supply to glycolysis, in which sugar is fermented without oxygen. So you want to keep oxygen flowing in your body. You want to keep your mitochondria healthy and able to input oxygen for nutrient conversion to energy and create an aerobic environment in your body for healthy cells and a healthy you. So there you have it, everything you needed to know about why oxygen is so important. In the next videos, we'll talk about how we can lose oxygen in our crazy lives, in our stressed out world, and also how we can get it back in a healthy way for a healthy body. This is Nikki Lynn Pugh, aka the Gentle Healthy Traveler, and Miss D. Be sure to breathe in deep today. Have a blessed day, and we'll see you on the road. Bye now. Say bye, Miss D.